Today I'm going to show you how to replace a zip in a pair of jeans. Use a metal tooth zip and ideally get a YKK brand. Buy the right length of zip to fit into the space. Don't try and shorten them while you're doing it. It doesn't work very well. It's really important to have that piece at the bottom of the zip in the right place when you're replacing it. As far as the needle on the sewing machine, I suggest you get a 100 or a 110 size needle. So that's a 16 or an 18. They're a heavier needle and they withstand the toughness of the denim fabric. The first thing you need to do is unpick the zip. I like to do this by using a very sharp pair of scissors and then snipping through every other stitch on the zip, and that should then pull the zip away. It doesn't help if you don't cut through all the thread. And then on the waistband, you just want to snip through the threads in the position where you're going to be able to then get the zip free from the waistband. So literally that, what, 1.5 centimeters at the most. Sometimes helpful to cut in from in the centre here. Bit of a tough job on this bit. Sharp pointed scissors are your best friend. Okay. Now, when you come to pull the zip out of this end, occasionally you'll find the long fabric tab is sometimes caught into the rivet here. So if it is, just pull it as far as you can and then snip the fabric away from it and leave the rest of the zip in there. But all we're trying to achieve is being able to get our finger in there, and in a minute the zip back in there. On this side, you want to do a similar thing. You want to snip through all the stitches on this side of the zip. On this side of the zip is fixed to this piece of fly fabric. It doesn't go all the way through to the outside of the fabric. I'm going to show you a way of stitching them back in again so you don't need to unpick the whole of the jeans. It's a bit of a tedious process, this one. And like the other side, we want to snip in and catch those stitches, and we've got to be really careful we don't cut the denim. When you're doing this sort of thing, you've got to be careful, as you would be with any sharp pointed object, to make sure you've not got a finger here. So if I'm holding it like this and I put this finger there, there's a possibility I might stab through my finger. So make sure you keep all your fingers out of the way and avoid getting damaged by the scissors. There we go, snipping into there. And again, this zip might have got caught with the buttonhole, so if you can't get it free, then it's not a problem to leave some of the end in there if you have to. You're not going to notice it there. And tricky bit, the other tricky bit is unpicking the bit at the bottom here where all the fly meets. And you might not get all the way down to the bottom of this bit. So, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to snip into these top stitching bits here where the fly forms. So we're not going to be able to go much further unpicking this. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut the bottom away. I'm not going to try and get any more off there. So that's our zip out. Tidy up by putting any of the unpicked stitches away, all the bits of thread. Make our workspace as tidy as we can. And the first job, when you come to putting it back on again, is not to use a traditional heavy contrast thread colour, but to use a colour of thread that's as close to the denim colour as possible. I've picked a kind of sludgy blue colour for a better flame. It's a sludgy blue, isn't it? And thread the needle. Need that. Need some pins. What we're going to do now, this isn't a YKK zip, so anyone that's really observant will notice it. It just happens to be one that I got in my zip box, so I'm using it because it was there. But I do recommend that you use a YKK zip. I haven't got any in stock at the moment.
It's only Katie's jeans.
And these are only Katie's, yeah, they're only my daughter's jeans. And I'm doing this mainly as a video. So what I'm doing is I'm placing the zip close to the overlocked edge on the fly and then pinning the zip seam we unpicked into position on the edge of the zip. I'm going to poke that in there, out of the way, and be in a position where I can stitch fairly closely down to the bottom. I might not get all the way, but I won't get far. Oh, I'll get a fair way, I should say. And pins are all heading up. And the first thing we need to do is stitch the waistband into position. Now I didn't unpick all the stitching here, even though the threads are still there. Sometimes it's quite nice if you can leave as much of the original thread in position and kind of combine it into the repair. A bit less obvious. So I'm going beyond my unpicking, and then I'm going to go backwards to the point at which I need to start going down the zip. And I'm going to put the zip pulled out of the way. The zipper pull now in the way.
Oh,
Out of the way. Sew down as far as your machine will physically permit you to do without catching that front fly. Needle up and on its way down. So when you pull the threads out, you just get the two, one at the top, one on the bottom. Tidy up, and that's that first half of the zip back in. Next stage is to poke the top of the zip back inside that waistband as if it was going up towards the buttonhole, and I like to do the button up and put a couple of pins on the fly where it would naturally sit, right on the edge, so I can be confident that when I put the zip in, the fly will cover the zip as it did originally. So just there and there. And then we go inside, we pull the fly across, and we'll see the zip. That didn't poke in very well. Need to poke it in a bit better. Get the scissors and a bit of gentle persuasion. And because all this is fixed, this zip has to sit here. Now I've got the wrong zipper foot on my machine. I've also got a bar tack that's irritating me in the way, so I'm just going to cut that out of the way so that fly gives me access to the zip. There's different types of zipper feet you can get. I have a variety. Could use, ooh, I'll get them up so you can see them. I have this one where the two side pieces of metal of the fork, if you like, are very narrow, but it means you can get up close to either side of the needle. It doesn't matter which direction you use it in, and I really like this one for putting zips in, but you're probably more familiar with this one where the needle goes in this side and you've got the foot there. And this is perfectly fine to do this job with, but I'm going to use the one that I prefer because I prefer it. Bit of a daft thing to say, really, isn't it? So let's put this under the machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to end up with a row of stitching that's down the fly, but because it's in the matching thread you'll barely see it. And this row of stitching is there to really just to get the zip in the right place initially. So we're going to sew really close to the fabric edge of the zip this side. That way the pins and the zip puller, none of those things will really get in the way. That pin might get in the way though. We don't need any pins now. We can take that one out. We can check it's going to work okay. You can't see the row of stitching I've just done because I've got a good matching thread. It's there, look. You might be able to see it, it's just there, barely visible. Let's undo the teeth in the zip. You can see it's needs another row of stitching. It needs to be a lot closer, but we now know that it's in the right place. And we can undo the button and pull the other half of the zip away to do that, the rest of the stitches. So we're going to, it's a bit tricky, there's a lot of bulk in this bit, so start off really slow and do a back tack. You're going through lots of layers of denim there, and then come beyond your unpicking and then back to where you want to start going down, which in this part is going to be a bit closer to the teeth than it was last time. I'm sorry, you can't see very well. There we go. And I'm going to close the zip up a little bit, make sure the needle's down so I can lift the foot up and not lose my position with the stitching. Persuade the zip to do a little bit of an awkward, bit difficult with the needle and the foot in the way, but it will go. It will go. Okay. Far enough, come on. So you start talking to the zip and asking it to do as it's told. There we go. Finish up going beyond, go at least beyond that last metal lump, bar at the bottom, and back tack. Needle out and on its way down, and then cut your threads. And cut the ones at the top. So I've just got to make all this look nice at the bottom now. We need to put that bar tack back in and just move it down a bit further. That holds the fly in position. It's there. And then it's a good idea, it's not essential, but it's a good idea just to run a few stitches at the bottom of the zip where the fly crosses. And that has replaced our zip in a pair of jeans. Job done.